Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 1 of Musings of a Community Leader. My name is Senda and I run the Intrepid Society gaming community. Now, first things first, it's been a while. This episode is going to be first about who I am, why we're back, what we're doing, what the intention of this episode and the rest of the episodes that will follow is. Then I'm going to talk about, well, the title of this episode really, getting back into things and how it applies to this episode, which is getting back into things. And then finally I'm going to tie it all off with a few questions from our community. And then I'm going to wave and say goodbye. So, let's start off with who I am, what this episode is all about, what we're doing. For the people who have been following this channel in the past, I used to do a few episodes of something called Musings of a Guild Leader. I used to be in charge of a guild in World of Warcraft, and I still am. And I would used to share my thoughts and feelings and thought process of taking decisions as a guild leader in about 15-minute episode videos that I used to record on a weekly basis. That ended at some point. Things just got too busy. Lots of other reasons why I couldn't record them anymore. But we're back. And we're not just back. The guild that has been a guild has grown into a gaming community. It now plays other games besides World of Warcraft. And our forum and Mumble server is what ties us all together as one big happy family. Now, surprisingly enough, we run into the same kind of issues that we used to as a guild. So I thought, well, let's bring these videos back. A lot of people have been asking for these videos to be brought back. So without further ado, we're bringing them back to once again share with you guys the thought process behind running what is now a gaming community instead of a guild. What kind of things you run into, which are mostly a social nature, mostly management stuff, and just basically give some interesting insights into what happens when you put a bunch of people together and say, let's have some fun playing games. So, we're going to be doing these episodes again once a week. Dates to be announced, but you'll find them below, you'll find them on the forum, on the website, posts everywhere, as soon as this is launched, obviously. And today's episode, the first one, Musings of a Community Leader, episode number 1 is called Getting Back Into Things. We're going to talk about how you take a stagnant situation. This can be a guild, a gaming community, a guild in another community, God knows what. But a group of people playing a game, it's growing stagnant. What can you do to get out of that stagnant situation and back into gear? Now, there's 3 steps to this process of getting out of this stagnant situation and rolling again. Step number 1 is actually fairly simple. You take a good look at your current situation, right? Let's take our guild, for example, the World of Warcraft department of our gaming community, which has been growing a little bit stagnant. To be fair here, the broader picture is that the World of Warcraft community, or guild, is actually the most active part of our gaming community at the moment. It's already growing back. So I'm basically going to reiterate a bit on things that happened in the past, but rolling into the new expansion, this stuff is interesting for a lot of people out there, so hence. Now, step 1, take a good look at your current situation. In our case, we had a World of Warcraft guild that was still doing things, raiding was still happening, we were still running achievement nights, still doing things besides all of that, people are still running heroics, God knows what, achievement hunts. But you see less and less people logging in. Now, whenever something like this happens, it will only take a few seconds before people start shouting ideas and suggestions left and right, specifically as to why people are logging in less and less. Every single person will have their own opinion in this. The challenge for any given leader or group of leaders in this regard is to filter this information and come up with specifically what the actual correct reasons are for people playing less and less. Because, you know, you can take decisions based on faulty information, but usually it doesn't really work out that well. So, step 1, review your current situation, which basically boils down to get as much information as you possibly can. And this means, quite literally, ask everyone. Ask the people who are hardcoring it to this very day. Ask the people that are still signing up to raids, still doing stuff in game, the really active bunch. Ask them why they're still logging in. What makes it fun for them? I mean, apparently they're not really lacking anything, but it never hurts to ask. Maybe they are lacking something. Never hurts to be ahead of the curve on that one. Now, the people who are semi-AFK, you could say, the people that you see log in once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, the people that make you go, oh, that guy's online again, oh, interesting. Grab them by the scruff of their neck, ask them why they're not logging in as much. This can be anything. This can be a different game that holds their interest at the moment. This can be the fact that not a lot of stuff is happening and they don't like it. This could be the fact that that other person recently joined the community. He doesn't like that person. Anything, right? But you make a list, you note it down. And then finally, you have the bunch of people that have not logged in ages. You know who they are, but they're just not online anymore. Now, this is where it becomes kind of tricky. Track them down as best you can. Don't be an absolute stalker about it, because that's just plain scary, but their opinion is important to you, because you want to know why they stopped playing, right? You want to know if they're coming back. Maybe they are. The Scroll of Resurrection, for instance, World of Warcraft right now is a perfect way to get people back into the game. We had another person the other night who was like, well, I don't like leveling that much. At which point, I think it was Xala who said, well, if you do the Scroll of Resurrection, you get a free level 80 character. Just instantly. Boom, you're level 80. You don't have to worry about the entire leveling process. And they were like, oh, really? Well, send over a scroll then. Boom, person back. Now, the important thing here is that if they didn't ask this, they would not have known. No scroll would have been sent out. No person would have been back. Extrapolate this and ask yourself, how many people can you get back just by asking questions? It's so important that you ask the questions. Now, as soon as you have this big list of things, big list, all the points that make you go, okay, that person, blah, 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 he thinks that's what their opinion is, etc. Take a good look at your old situation. Take the two, combine them, and ask yourself, what are we missing, right? Most people would have told you by now, I missed this, I missed that, this is the reason I'm not playing, that's the reason I'm not playing. But take a good long look at what you used to do, what you're doing now, and the list that people gave you. Because some things in there might actually turn out that you used to do things that you're not doing now, and people don't care about it. It's an interesting point to review, because you don't want to rehash all the old stuff that you're doing with the intent of, well, that's what people are missing, and then it turns out that you're revamping something that no one's actually waiting for. That's time wasted right there. You might put an officer in charge of doing something spectacular and turns out no one actually wants it. That's time wasted. It's an officer position wasted, and you could have made something else even more awesome. So make sure you get your facts straight before you delve into stuff. Now, as soon as you've done that, as soon as you took stock of your current situation, reviewed the old one, came up with a list of things to do, it's time for step number 3, which is getting down to business. This is the point where you take your officer team together and you ask yourself, do I have enough people to do all the stuff that I want to do? This is the point where you start looking for more people if you need them to enhance your officer meeting. And then finally, once you have that officer cater sorted in your mind at this point, by the way, it's very important, because all of this stuff up until this point is basically behind closed doors. There's no big ass open meetings. This is you personally going to people, or having someone to personally go to people, or a team of people to go out to people and come back with stuff. But there's no open big meetings. But what you're going to have now is a big open meeting. You need to do a big ass meeting with everyone involved to inform them about what you're going to do. Now, we have meetings every single month, community meetings, where we talk about the state of everything within our gaming community, which is an interesting platform, of course, to present all of this. But the most important thing that you have to consider before you go into this meeting is that you're not having this meeting to just chat to people. You've already done that. You already have the big list. You've already come up with solutions. You've already assigned officers to take care of stuff. What you're going to do in this meeting is you're going to present your finished plan. And this is very important. Don't go into this meeting before you have your entire plan sorted, because you don't want to present something at this meeting and then find out, oh, that's not sorted, that's not sorted, that's not sorted. That stuff is going to happen anyway. You're going to run into situations where, oh, you forgot something, because that always happens. However, you want to have stuff as sorted as you can before you go in. You present a complete plan to your community. this will do two things. One, it gives people the sense that you're on top of things, not just you, but your entire Alpha Circator. And the fact that you seem to be on top of things, whether you are or not, provides a sense of stability for everyone. Stability is always a good thing, because if something is stable, people will enjoy it and stay around. Two, it will make people consider their own stuff. It will make them go, ooh, community's coming back, all sorts of cool little plans left and right, big ass vision that we're going to follow once again. It's either back to the old days, or for the newer members, ooh, this looks really good and tasty. You're installing a sense of confidence into your entire gaming community, a sense of pride even at some points, if you relate to the old days of where you were doing awesome things and you can do it again. People are once again going to be amazed and you know, enthusiastic about all the stuff that lies ahead, and that's the feeling that you want to cultivate. So stay on top of things, run through those 3 points. You can't really go wrong with it, you just have to put in a lot of effort. Right, now, having said all of this, this is of course a rather big process, and I can write half a book about all the stuff that I was just talking about. I'm going to reiterate quite a few of those points over the coming episodes and, you know, dissect them. Like, for instance, how do you go out and specifically talk to a person? How do you ask those questions? How can you go about that? What common mistakes are being made, for instance. There's interesting things to go over there. But for now I'm going to call it at that and close off this episode with a few questions from our community. I'm only going to do 2 questions because we're already running out of time. Sorry about all the other people that have made questions, but be advised, we'll get more next episode in. Right, Kisala wants to know, what are your thoughts on Garrosh being the final boss in Mists of Pandaria? All I can say, Kisala, is that Blizzard, the people at Blizzard are absolute professionals, and they know what they're doing, and they're once again proving it, that they're absolutely immensely brilliant by picking the one character that basically the entire Horde as a faction hates more than anything. Garrosh is the one ultimate douchebag. We all hate him, and every single time the Alliance invades Orgrimmar to kill him, we roll out the red carpet and say, please, please, please kill our faction leader, because we hate him possibly more than you do. Having the chance to participate in the siege of Orgrimmar and to personally kick Garrosh into the afterlife will be one of the highlights for me personally as we go into the next expansion. There you have it. Now, Celine wants to know, what will happen to Minecraft? Interesting question here. Of course, I've been talking mostly about World of Warcraft up until this point. During this episode, you have to keep in mind that this gaming community plays other games. So, Celine, in regards to Minecraft, we're on the Nations at War server, which is an awesome server. Season 2 has officially ended. We're now in the interim version of Season 2.5, which is basically a survival map. You hop in, you build some stuff, you watch it burn down because someone is careless with flint and tinder, and you move on. And it's basically just a testing ground that the admins are going to abuse to make us test a new war plugin in anticipation of Season 3. Now, the interesting thing to keep in mind here is that we're going to have a meeting coming up rather soon internally to discuss specifically what kind of things we want to have in Season 3. So keep an eye out for that. But suffice to say, we're going to be coming back in Season 3 and we're going to be even more spectacular than we were in Season 2. Now, on that cheery note, I'm going to sign off. I hope this episode was rather useful to a lot of people out there, and I hope that if there are more questions, that you don't mind asking.